بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم حكيم اللهم اجعل هذه محاضرة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين أما بعد. Today inshallah ta'ala we're going to be covering Zakat Al-Fitr. Zakat Al-Fitri. Does anyone know what Zakat Al-Fitr is? Or how many people do not, or how many people are not familiar with Zakat Al-Fitr? You're not familiar with it? Cool. No problem. Anyone else? You're not familiar? No problem. Anyone that is familiar, raise your hand. Okay. For those that are familiar, what is Zakat Al-Fitr? And what is the difference? Now remember, when we take our Shahada, what is the five pillars of Islam? Who can tell me? Just what'd you say? Shahada, prayer, fasting, zakat. Tayyib. Is that zakat the same as this zakat? Are they the same? Yes or no? They're not the same. It's not the same. It is the same. How many people think it's the same? Raise your hand. Yeah, Zakat Al-Fitr. When part of the zakat, when we say the five pillars of Islam, we have the Shahada, we have the prayer, we have zakat, we have hajj, and we have fasting the month of Ramadan. So during this month, we are fulfilling an obligatory right of fasting, right? Paying zakat is also an obligation, right? Zakat al-Fitr, as it relates to the month of Ramadan, is this the zakat that is obligatory for every Muslim to pay? Meaning, is this the zakat that has to do with our five pillars of Islam? Yes or no? Whoever says that, raise your hand. Right. So then, what is the difference between Zakat al-Fitr and the other zakat? Or are they the same? What's the difference? Huh?
One is the Zakat Al-Fitr is you give it out one sa'a per.
One sa'a? I don't think anyone here knows what a sa'a is. What's a sa'a? We're going to talk about it. What is it?
It's equivalent to 3 liters volume.
It's volume. A measure. Okay.
Volume. Give 3 liters per person. Like if you're a husband, it's you got a wife, 3 kids, so you can give 15 liters in volume of a staple food.
Okay.
At the end of Ramadan, you gotta give it out before the Eid prayer.
Okay.
Now, the other zakat is a percentage of money that you would give off of money that you had over a certain period of time, like within a year, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So one is money and one is food.
Mumtaz. So, in summary, the brother said is one zakat has to do with money and one zakat has to do with food. The zakat for Islam generally is talking about zakatul mal, the wealth, right? Zakat al-Fitr is not necessarily associated with that, even though it's obligatory for the Muslim to do. The question is, with Zakat al-Fitr, can we pay Zakat al-Fitr in money? Or it doesn't matter? Or is it preferable to pay it in food? Or it doesn't matter? Yes?
It's sooner to pay with food.
It's sunnah to pray with food. So if a person prays with money, Are they in opposition to the sunnah? Who said yes? That's strong words, brother. So if a person pays Zakat Al-Fitr with money, they're opposing the sunnah?
No, based off of the command to give from the food.
Mumtaz. So then, many scholars of the past hold it to be permissible to pay Zakat Al-Fitr in money. However, it's better to pay Zakat Al-Fitr, which is an obligatory charity of food towards the end of Ramadan, or has to be paid within the last few days, and we'll get into the details of that. Zakat Al-Fitr should be paid in food. However, some scholars of the past, including some of the companions, held the position that in times you may be able to pay it in money. However, I always recommend that if there's an opportunity to pay it in food, why would you pay it in money? And prior to us concluding the class tonight, inshallah, we're going to mention the masjid in the city. It's Masjid Al-Wasatiyah. It's at 57th and Hoffman. They take Zakat Al-Fitr in food, meaning once we finish today's class, inshallah, we should know how to pay it. You gather that food and you take it to that masjid, and they will distribute it accordingly to people that need it. All right? Do not, I repeat, do not, brothers and sisters, do not bring your food here. We do not distribute Zakat Al-Fitr. IMFC does not distribute Zakat Al-Fitr. Do not bring it here. Do not. Yes.
Some people think if they bring their food here and leave it, that they
No. If you bring your food here and leave it, it's going to stay there. And it will not be distributed, and you will be sinful on that day. Because we are not accepting that responsibility. We at IMFC do not accept that responsibility. Yes.
I was actually, first of all,
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
the other day.
Okay.
They were giving out, the literature for the Zakat there, and it was by pound.
Yeah. So I didn't get into that yet.
I actually have this sheet in my car if you want me to bring it in.
No. I don't need it. I don't need it. But what I'm saying, well, you can get it. No problem. Yeah, go get it. If you, yeah, no problem. No problem. Go get it. Mashi how. I'm going to show you how to do it without measuring pounds. Right? This here, before we get into it, I'm going to just say this since we started. This here is a unit of measurement, and it measures volume, like the brother said. Okay? What's the difference between volume and weight? Does anyone know the difference between measuring volume versus measuring weight?
Volume is how much space.
Good. Volume is the capacity something can hold. So for example, if I fill this up, this is volume. Whatever can fit in here is volume, right? Weight is not compounded, or weight is not confounded to space or pound. Well, weight is not confined to space, meaning volume is space, capacity, weight is outside of that. Does that make sense? All right. When we speak about volume, right? If I filled this up with rocks, I had two of these, and I filled one up with rocks and another one up with cotton. Are they going to weigh the same? No. However, is the volume going to be the same? Yes. Why? Because they packed in the same space. Is that clear? So then, when people say that when we are paying Zakat Al-Fitr, it's a certain weight, that's not accurate for everything. It's a guesstimate, but it's not accurate. What's accurate is that you're measuring volume. That's accurate. So let's say, for example, you bought a bunch of rice, right? One day, inshallah, it would be nice if we had like a little scale we could show you. This here, this is a mud, a unit of measurement. This unit of measurement goes back to the Sahabi Zayd ibn Thabit, right? Who measured the hands of the Prophet ﷺ. So inside of this is 4 scoops of this is 1 sa'a, like the brother mentioned, 1 unit of measurement. I hope that's clear. So you take 4 of these represented 2 of the hands of the Prophet ﷺ inside here. So for example, if he scooped up 2 hands full and put it in here, it would fill this up to capacity. 4 scoops of this, meaning 4 2-hand scoops of this, is equivalent to 1 sa'a, meaning 1 unit of measurement. If you look at that unit of measurement, the weight is going to be different depending on the product. So if it's rice, it may be, let me see that, if you don't mind. Jazakallah khair. So for example, it says here, Zakat Al-Fitr must be 7 pounds for one person. All right, 7 pounds of what? This is not accurate. This is not accurate. 7 pounds, just pay attention. I need everyone to understand something. Does rice weigh the same thing as dates? If we filled this up with dates and we filled another one up with rice, are they going to weigh the same? No. So then, what this appears to be, and Allah knows best, is actually over the amount. This is over the amount because rice would probably be less than 7 pounds. It's more like maybe 6 pounds, 6.5 pounds, not 7, if it's rice. Dates and any other staple food that you're talking about is going to be less than this. Is that clear? Does that make sense? As we get into it, inshallah, I'm going to get the class started. We'll speak more to this. We're going to speak to this. But just to give everyone an idea of the proper way to do it versus, it's okay to overestimate. There's no problem in that. That's good. But to be exact is 4 scoops. Right? 4 scoops of this. 4 2-hand scoops together is equal to 1 sa'a. I could pass it around, everyone can look at it.
What is it called again? What is that?
This is called a mud.
A mud.
Yes, this is called a mud. Just pass it around, inshallah. Right. So then, Zakat Al-Fitr is obligatory upon every Muslim. Zakat Al-Fitr is obligatory upon every Muslim. Fadl lahu, meaning extra food that they may have for the day of the Eid and the night of the Eid. 1 sa'a, which is 4 2-hand scoops into a container or anything. So the volume here, let's say you don't have that. How do you measure it? You take both of your hands and you measure the volume with both your hands. That's how you do it. You do this 1, 2, 3, 4. That will be 1 sa'a. Your hands are bigger than mine. So it's going to be different from person to person. Does that make sense? His hands are smaller than yours, so it's going to be different from person to person. But that's how you measure it. That's how you measure it. Is that clear? Right. So the sa'a an quti wa quti ayalihi wa hawaijihi al-asliyah. So a person pays Zakat Al-Fitr if they have all of their necessities in place first. So for example, you can't be a person that you struggle to eat every day. Then you can't be a person paying zakat because you're not from the people to pay the zakat. Perhaps you may be from the people to receive the zakat. Like, when it's time to pay Zakat Al-Fitr, if you owe someone some money, the debt that you owe somebody does not prevent you from paying zakat unless that person requires that debt and it takes away from what you have. Does that make sense? So then the first person that you pay zakat for is for yourself. And any Muslim you are responsible for. So let's say you live in a house with your mother and father, but they're not Muslim. Then you don't have to pay zakat for them. right? Any Muslim that you are responsible for, you must pay zakat for them. Walau shahr Ramadan. Even if you take care of a person only in the month of Ramadan, let's say, for example, you have a visitor, a Muslim cousin or niece, nephew, they come visit you during the month of Ramadan and they're living with you during the month of Ramadan. In this case, you are now responsible for paying for them because you're taking care of them. So they would be included from the people that you are responsible for paying Zakat Al-Fitr for. Is that clear? If I lost anybody, just tell me I lost you, just let me know. Right. If a person is not capable, let's say, for example, he has 5 people in his family, but he only has enough to pay for himself and maybe his wife or his kid, then khalas, that's sufficient. If you cannot do it, then you only pay for what you are capable of paying. Any questions? Yes.
Is it an age limit?
Kayfiani, what do you mean, age limit?
If somebody's staying with you for Ramadan,
Mm.
can he be an adult and you still have to pay for the adult as well?
Yeah, good question. So he said that, is there an age limit? And I said, what do you mean? Meaning that if you have let's say you have an adult brother that's Muslim and he comes to stay with you and he's older, maybe your older brother, and you're taking care of him during the month of Ramadan, then you're responsible for taking care of him. If you're providing food, clothing, and shelter for him during that time. Like, وَيُسْتَحَبُّ عَنِ الْجَنِينَ. If your wife, and this goes back to the statement of Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu ta'ala an, لا تجب عليه لأنها لو تعلقت به قبل ظهوره تعلقت زكاة بأجنحة الصوائم. So here, in this case, it's recommended to pay zakat on an unborn child, but it's not an obligation. We're talking about an unborn child. So if your wife is pregnant during the time of Zakat Al-Fitr, you can pay for the unborn child, and this is due to the actions of Uthman ibn Affan. Uthman ibn Affan, who was Uthman? Does anyone know who Uthman was? So I'm just saying the name, and it's like, okay, who's that? Who's Uthman? Brothers, sisters, who is Uthman? He was a companion. What is a companion?
One who met the Prophet ﷺ, who believed in him, and he died upon it.
Mumtaz. He met the Prophet ﷺ, he believed in his prophethood, and he what?
Died.
And he died on it. On that belief. He was also one of the 10 that were promised paradise. What else?
He was married to 2 of the Prophet's daughters.
And he was married to 2 of the Prophet's daughters, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What else do we know about him? He was the 3rd Khalifa. So he was somebody big in the Muslim world, right? So then Uthman, he paid zakat for an unborn child. The next one, وَلَا تَجِبُ لِلنَّاشِزِ. Brothers, and the reason why we're going over this is that we understand fiqh. If a brother is married to a sister and she does not listen to him, right? She doesn't listen to her husband. She's, as we say, she's out of pocket, right? She's, and the Arabs would say, lisanaha tawila, meaning her tongue is very long. She just beats you up with her tongue and all of that, right? So in this case, if you are married to a woman like that, Allah yu'inakum, may Allah help you. If you're married to a sister like that, then you do not have to pay zakat for her. You do not have to pay zakat for her. This is Islam. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm saying if you are married and your wife is one who she's disrespectful, she's out of pocket and all of that, then you are not obliged to pay zakat. Yes, brother.
Is that apply because of the new shoes, or is that
Because of the nushuz. That's the reason. Because she's nashiz. Nashiz means a wife that is disrespectful and she doesn't listen to her husband. This is a whole chapter in the books of fiqh, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about zakat. Tayyib. Tayyib. So when does Zakat Al-Fitr become obligatory? Like, meaning, when do we have to pay it? When is a necessity for it to be paid? Tajibu bi ghurub al-shamsi laylat al-fitri. Okay. Let's say, for example, the Eid is tomorrow. How would we know if the Eid was tomorrow? Meaning, after Maghrib, as soon as it becomes dark, that would be the first night of the Eid. That's when the Zakat Al-Fitr is obligatory, meaning it is wajib to be paid at that point in time. Does that make sense? So let's say right now we're waiting. As soon as Maghrib comes in, alhamdulillah, is Eid. At that point in time, it becomes obligatory to pay the zakat to the people who need it. To pay the zakat to the people that need it. طيب فمن أسلم بعده أو تزوج أو ولد له لم تلزمه فطره أو فطرته. So here's another thing. Let's say, for example, Maghrib comes in and a brother or sister, they take their shahada. Soon as, do they have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr? No. Yes. So as soon as Maghrib comes in, now it's the Eid, they take their shahada. Do they have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr? No. Why not? Because they were not, that's good. Because they were not Muslim in the month of Ramadan. As soon as Maghrib comes in and it becomes Eid, okay, so I may have lost some people. Let's slow down real quick. In Islam, the night precedes the day. I know it's weird, and this is something that most people are not used to. So let's say, for example, what's today's date? The 27th? 27th. And it's the 27th day of Ramadan. As soon as it gets dark, it automatically becomes the 29th, the 28th day. I'm sorry, the 20th. I'm confusing everybody. Hold on, let's back up. As soon as Maghrib comes in, it automatically becomes the 28th night of Ramadan. So all night is going to be the 28th night up until Fajr. When the sun comes up, it's going to be the 28th day. So then the night precedes the day. Is that clear? All right. So then, if a person takes Shahada after Maghrib on the day of the Eid, then they do not have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr because it's not Ramadan anymore. Ramadan is over. Is that clear? The next one. If a man gets married, he wants to get married that Maghrib, the night of the Eid, meaning, we're waiting and khalas, Maghrib comes in and it's Eid, he gets married. He does not have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr. Likewise, if a child was born during the Eid, that day of the Eid, then you do not have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr. For the child. We're talking about for the child. We don't have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr for the child. Okay, I mentioned two different scenarios. The first one was, if you get married on the Eid, meaning at Maghrib, as soon as Eid comes in, you don't have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr for the wife. If you have a child, and the child is born at Maghrib, time of the Eid, you do not have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr for the child. It's recommended before, but you don't have to. Meaning before, when it was Ramadan. Like, all right, so it says, يجوز إخراجها قبل العيد بيومين فقط. That means, when is the Eid? Does anyone know when the Eid is going to be? Between what day and what day? Sunday or Monday. So let's assume that the Eid would be on Sunday. If we say that the Eid can possibly be on Sunday, then when can we start paying the Zakat Al-Fitr? Saturday night. So Saturday, the earliest would be 2 days, right? So you can say 2 days, okay? طيب يوم العيد قبل الصلاة أفضل. The best time to pay Zakat Al-Fitr, and it's very difficult now. I don't recommend anyone doing this now unless you know somebody that you can do this. But I know in the lands of the Muslims it's easier to pay Zakat Al-Fitr in the morning as you leave out to go pray Salatul Eid, right? You can find people on the way. There are people literally waiting in the streets to take your Zakat Al-Fitr. However, here, it may be extremely difficult to find somebody that won't even want to take Zakat Al-Fitr. In fact, some people may say, man, I don't need no Zakat Al-Fitr. People may be offended, right? But in reality, there are people that need it. If you need it, take it. Alhamdulillah. That's a ni'mah from Allah that you don't turn away. That's a blessing from Allah that you don't turn away. Right. So then, what is the food that we use for Zakat Al-Fitr? So it says, yajibu sa'a min bur. So some of the staple foods that we all speak about is wheat, barley, flour, dates, raisins, cheese, etc. All of those foods may not be staple foods for everybody in every place. Is that clear? So here, Mashal al-Wasatiyah, they give you some things to look at. I'm just looking at it. So it says, examples of obligatory foods: rice, pasta, noodles, cereal, oatmeal, grits, pancakes, flour, pancake flour, dried beans, peanut butter, canned, I don't know about canned tuna. Can canned tuna go bad? Is there an expiration date? Is there an expiration date? Okay, if it's an expiration date on it, you can't use it. Staple foods are foods that genuinely last, right? You can have dates forever, raisins, etc. And then it says a secondary option: cooking oil, sugar, honey, sugar and honey, right? At any event, these are some of the things that they mention for Zakat Al-Fitr. I think most of them are okay. My only issue would be the canned tuna. I'm not sure about canned tuna. Canned tuna is something that can go bad. What they mean by staple foods are foods that can last. Like you can put in one of those mason jars and it'll last and you'll be okay with it, right? طيب. Any questions about Zakat Al-Fitr? Yes.
For those who don't know, like a new shahada or what have you, can Zakat Al-Fitr be made up, whether the money or the food?
I'm sorry?
Can it be made up for those who don't know?
What do you mean made up? I'm sorry, what does that mean?
Can it be given later?
No.
So once it's missed, it's missed.
Yeah, so once you miss Zakat Al-Fitr, some of them say make it up, but you're sinful. You can pay it, but you're sinful. And it may not count as zakat, it'll count as charity that you're giving away. It will count as charity, but not a zakat, not something that is obligatory. Another thing too is when you are giving Zakat Al-Fitr, it is always better, preferable to give Zakat Al-Fitr in a city and place where you live. It is not recommended for you to take your Zakat Al-Fitr and send it to another country or to another place. Rather, there are people in your own backyard that need things that we have to focus on, right? So it is better when you have Zakat Al-Fitr to give Zakat Al-Fitr to the people in your locale. Yes?
So I can't donate any meats at all?
For Zakat? No. You can donate meat anytime you want, but not for Zakat though. Remember, the foods for Zakat has to be staple foods. Non-perishable foods.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can we give more than the recommended amount?
Yes. Yes, you can. However, what is obligatory is that which is the amount that is obligatory. So even here, where it says the 7 pounds per person, that's not accurate. It's not accurate. It's a gauge And if you gave £7 per person, you're not going to lose. It'll be like, okay, well, I gave. So within that £7, maybe £6 is obligatory, and the extra pound is Bismillah, it's charity. Yes.
Is there a limit to how many we can give to people?
No, there's no limit.
No, I mean, how many people we can give it to?
No, there's no limit. You can give it to a whole group of people. Yes.
I want to understand why is it permissible to give it to someone else to like give it for you? Like basically, you can drop it to the masjid and they.
Oh, you can. You can do that. So that's a good question. In Islam, right, we have people that collect the zakat. There are people that collect the zakat, right? You can give it out yourself. If you know, let me correct that. If anyone here knows someone personally that you can give your zakat to, then that is better. It's a good question, Sheikh. If anyone knows anyone personally that you can give your Zakat Al-Fitr to, it is better. However, if you do not know anyone, then Masjid Al-Wasatiyah, they collect it and they will distribute it for you. Okay? You have another question? Yes.
The way I was taught, well, who I learned from, they said in foreign countries, it's literally a person appointed, like that's somebody's job. Like, and we don't have that person here. Like basically overseas is literally somebody that just distributes a copy.
Right.
We don't have that here.
Well, we've created that here though. Yeah, that's why so this is why I'm recommending people go to Masjid Al-Wasatiyah. They have a system in place where that's what they do. So, alhamdulillah, we do have that here. Maybe not in every place, but in this city, alhamdulillah, that is established. Okay? So then this is why I recommend it for everyone. If you don't know anyone, you give it to Masjid Al-Wasatiyah and they will distribute it. Once again, brothers, sisters, do not drop off your Zakat Al-Fitr here. We will not take responsibility for your food that you drop at the front door and drive off. If you come back later, it'll be waiting for you to take it. And if you leave it there, it may go in the trash. And we don't want anyone to waste their money and waste their food. We are telling everyone, please take it to Masjid Al-Wasatiyah. We do not accept it here. We do not accept Zakat Al-Fitr. Yes, somebody else had a question. Yes.
And they will be sinful as well because it's not completed.
Yes. If you drop off your Zakat Al-Fitr here, you will be sinful because we are not taking responsibility for it. We are not taking responsibility for Zakat Al-Fitr. Yes, brother.
And then who I can't give it to? Zakat.
Who you cannot. The people that don't need it. Good question. So, Zakat Al-Fitr is for people that are poor. And what I mean by poor, some of the scholars mentioned, people that don't have none of their needs, or people that have some of their needs but not all of their needs. You cannot give it to non-Muslims. It's very important. Do not give your Zakat Al-Fitr to poor non-Muslims. This is for Muslims. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, "Uknihum hadha al-yawm," or kama qala alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, enrich them, strengthen them on this day, meaning the Muslims. Right? So the Muslims are the ones that benefit from Zakat Al-Fitr. You don't give it to someone that is wealthy. You don't give it to someone that is not a Muslim. You don't give it to someone that is wealthy but they're acting like they're not. Right? Right. Any other questions? Yes. Good question. That's a really good question. Can you give Zakat Al-Fitr to your mother? Who said yes? I said zakat. Let's say, okay, assuming that your parents are Muslim, can you give Zakat Al-Fitr to your mother and your father? Or to your children?
If they don't live in your house,
You said if you don't live in your house.
say if your mom don't live with you.
Right. So the answer to that is no. You cannot give Zakat Al-Fitr to your mother, father, grandparents on up, and you also cannot give Zakat Al-Fitr to your Muslim children. Why is that? Say that again? Excellent. Because they are your obligation anyway. If your mother and father are struggling, they're Muslim, you're obliged to take care of them. So why would you give them zakat? Your wealth is part of theirs anyway. And likewise, your children. You have an obligation to take care of your children. At no point in time, and brothers and sisters, this is very important. The only point in time when your parents are and your children, no matter how old they are not your responsibility is when they're in position to take care of themselves. Is that clear? If your parents don't need your money, then they're good. But once they need your money, it becomes theirs. Your children, if they don't need your money, they're good. But if they need your aid, then you are obliged to do so. No matter what age. This never ends. This is the bond that never ends. Yes.
You know, a lot of us, you know, that's Muslim, you know what I mean? Like where we come from and grow up at before we Muslim, unfortunately, in our community, we grow up in an environment where, when you turn 18,
Yes.
you on your own.
For sure.
And that's in our
So I'm glad he said that. He said in our culture, in our society, when our kids turn 18, we kick them out the door. That's but the reality of it, that is destructive for our children. It doesn't help them. But then even when we talk like that, before they get to that point, there's a lot of things that we missed along the way anyway, as a community that we have to do a better job at. In essence, we should not be kicking our children out the houses in general. Right? I'm not saying there's no exceptions, but in general, you should not be kicking your children out of the houses. At 18, you don't know what you're doing in this world. You're still trying to figure it out. Sometimes kids are still trying to figure it out at 25. So what about at 18, right? And so, and what we do is when we kick our children out the houses at 18 years old, we're really setting them up for failure. And the job of a parent is to put your children in position to be successful in this life. And I don't necessarily define success as monetary. The biggest success for a child is that they practice Islam when you're dead and gone. Because then they'll make dua for you. But you can teach them how to make all the money they want, and they never make dua for you. There's no benefit to you as a parent. So as a parent, when it comes to your children, you have to be selfish. Just like your kids, when they get older, they're thinking about themselves. As a parent, you need to think about yourself and educate them on Islam. You can educate them on making money, but when you're dead and gone, they're still going to make money and they won't ever think about you again. But if you educate them on Tawheed and La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah and what it means, when you're dead and gone, they're going to still say Rahimahullah. They're going to say, may Allah have mercy on my mother, may Allah have mercy on my father. They might even do charitable acts in your name. But if all you taught them was how to make money, they may not do that. Or they may leave Islam and do some charity in your behalf, but it won't benefit you. Pay attention to that, Muslims. Pay attention to that. Any other questions?
So what about your brother?
Brother? That's a good question. We got to ask the other imam when he comes. Allah. That's a good question. Yes. Anyone else? Tayyib. So brothers and sisters are considered hawashi, right? So you got the origin, you got the people that come after you, meaning your kids, and you have the hawashi, which are your siblings, right? In some cases, can you give Zakat Al-Fitr to your brother and sister? Allahu Alam. Some may say that they fall into the same category, but some may say, nah, Allahu Alam. I don't know. Off the top, I don't recall. Yes.
So I don't believe that we ever got to the amount per person.
Yes, 1 sa'a per person. Yeah, so it's 4 scoops,
No, we got that part.
1 sa'a per person. So you take 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for 1 person. That may actually be less than 7 pounds.
So you also pay for your wife.
Yes. You take care of your wife, you're responsible for it. You pay for her.
So that would be 2 sa'ah.
Okay. It's 1 sa'a per person. 1 sa'a per person. I didn't say that. If I didn't, I apologize. It's 1 sa'a per person. So if it's 10 people in your family, 10 sa'as. If it's 2 people in your family, 2 of them. If it's 5, 5.
What about your wife's children?
Good. So the brother said, what about your wife's children? I want to see, now this, I'm not trying to be funny, Sheikh. I want everybody to see if they can answer that question. What's the answer to that and why? I'm going to ask the question. I want you to give me the answer and tell me why. What's the answer? Yes.
Because you're responsible for your wife and your wife's children.
Nah. Who told you that?
No, I was assuming.
Nah, brother.
So if your wife's children live with you, you don't gotta feed them?
No. So it's one, you said, are you responsible for it? It's two different things. It's two different things. You're responsible for your wife. You're not necessarily responsible for her children unless they live with you under your roof and you're spending on them. Okay? But let's say, for example, a friend of yours come to live with you during the month of Ramadan and you're taking care of them, then you're responsible for them too. So I don't want to say your wife's children. I want to say anybody you spend on. Right? But Islamically, you're not responsible for your wife's children. But if they're in your house and you're spending on them, then these are the people you're taking care of, then you should pay zakat for them. Whether it's your wife's children, your friend's children, it doesn't matter. If they're living in your house, especially during the month of Ramadan, and you're spending on them, then you are required to pay Zakat Al-Fitr for them. Okay? Is that clear? Yes. Uh-huh. Wait. What about your wife's ex-husband? Okay? Your wife's ex-husband. Okay? I'm listening. I'm stuck. What about your wife's ex-husband? Your wife has kids. Who's going to pay for them? I mean, I would assume that the father's going to pay for them. I would assume. Especially if the father's in life and he might be, yeah. Do they live in the house or they just come to visit? I understand exactly what he's saying. They share custody. Somebody got to spend on them. Zakat has to be paid on those kids. Somebody going to spend it. If the father's in the role, I mean, it should fall on him. And you might want to talk to him like, you want to cover your kid. I mean, he might be offended. He might be offended if you say, hey, I'm going to cover your kids with zakat. He might feel some type of way about that. I'm just saying. Yes.
What about the traveler? Does he have to pay if he gets stuck traveling?
Does the traveler have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr?
Yeah, if he's stuck traveling.
Everyone has to. Does he have money or does he not have money? Well, you asked the question, Sheikh. I'm not asking.
Let's just take me. I'm traveling, but I'm not in my homeland.
Is your money in your home? Is your money with you or is it in your homeland?
Most likely in the homeland.
Then you can call somebody and say, spend on my money to pay zakat there. But if your money's with you, then you can pay zakat here. And if you have money in your here and none of your money's with you, you don't have access to it, then you may actually be a recipient for zakat. You see, that's how. So really, this is why I'm asking the questions. Everything it varies depending on the person's situations. Yes. Then you don't. You only pay zakat on the Muslims. You only pay zakat on the Muslims. Yes. A brother reported to me that if your wife, is your wife taking care of you or you taking care of your wife? Your wife, listen, pay attention to something, brothers. If your wife works, right now we're talking about Islam. Islam may not be the reality in all of our homes. Islam may not be the reality in all of our homes. But right now I'm going to speak about Islam. Your wife, if she works, her money is her money. Husband, you have no right to your wife's money. Brothers, you have no right to your wife's money. If she decides to help you, that's from her own goodwill and mashallah. If she says no kick rocks, you better pull out your shoes and start kicking them. Right? The reality of it is, a woman's money is her money. Brothers, husbands, you have no right to your wife's money. Now, in some cases, some brothers, they worked out a deal and they family. That's your personal situation. That's what y'all agreed upon, that's fine. But Islamically, the rule of thumb, your wife could be a multimillionaire and you still got to pay all the bills. You understand? Say again? Or if your children are grown and you don't financially take care of them, they take care of themselves, they pay for themselves. Right? Is that clear though about the money situation? Brothers looking at them like, come on, Ahi. Come on, brother. Your class is over now. Yes.
Earlier in regards to the division between wealth, the dichotomy between wealth and food.
Yes.
In the case of what the brother is talking about regards traveling, is that under the cases where wealth became permissible as opposed to?
Yes, that will fall into the same category. Yes. Good question, mashallah. Yes.
In unfortunate circumstances, can you pay zakat for a brother that may be in the hospital or incarcerated?
So the question is, he may not, okay. You mean pay zakat for him? Pay on his behalf? He may be a recipient. That's what I'm saying. He may be, listen, pay attention. If everybody pays zakat, who's getting zakat? Nobody. So then there are some people that are recipients of zakat. Everyone does not have to pay zakat because they don't fit the qualifications to pay zakat. If you are poor, you don't have enough food for a couple days and you're struggling, in that case you may not be required to pay zakat. Rather you may be considered a recipient of the zakat. Okay? Yes. Was all the qualifications. So in order to receive zakat, a person has to be poor. Some of the scholars say poor means you don't have enough for a day and night. You're struggling. The next one means you have most of your needs, but you don't have all of your needs. Okay? And like this. So these are generally the categories that we would probably look at for a person that may need zakat. The other one is that a person that is traveling. A traveler that may have wealth, but he doesn't have access, he's cut off from his money, he's in a location, and he doesn't have anything, that person may also too be a recipient of Zakat Al-Fitr. Yes.
Is there a duration of time for somebody that's residing with you? Is there a specific time?
If a person's living with you, let's say they don't live with you at all, and they just come to live with you in Ramadan. Ramadan would be enough. If you take care of them just during the month of Ramadan, then that's sufficient for you to pay Zakat Al-Fitr for them. Yes, the young brother that was over there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to overlook you.
I got a question, right? So, if somebody is that dead, do they gotta is whatever they do for you, can that is that sadaqah or?
So the young brother said, all right. So a stepfather, does a stepfather have to take care of his stepson? Excuse me, brother.
Yeah, and if they do, is that zakat?
No.
Sadaqah?
Yeah, so if a stepfather takes care of a stepson, he said, is this considered charity, right? Is that what you asked me?
Yes.
Yes, it's considered charity. Meaning, and this is important, sisters, if you have children and you are not with your children's father and you're married, it is not an obligation for your husbands to take care of your children. Under Allah, it is not his requirement nor responsibility. However, if he helps your child and takes care of your child, then that is sadaqah. That is a charity. That is him getting reward from Allah, but that is not punishable in Islam because he's not doing it. Rather, the punishable part refers back to the father, not the stepfather. It refers to the father, not the stepfather. Yes. Shake, because he didn't answer the question. Go ahead.
So if you have a wife that's got a long tongue or out of pocket.
If you have a wife with a long tongue.
That's what you said, right?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do she gotta pay for herself?
Listen, if you have a woman that is nashes, meaning if your wife is nashes, she doesn't listen to you, she's disrespectful, she's out of pocket, you are not required, you do not have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr for her. She's on her own. She has to figure it out. Okay? She's on her own. Yes.
Coming from before Ramadan or during Ramadan, can that be also an inheritance from his, whoever turns into a judge?
Can what be an inheritance?
From the rights of inheritance for the family when he died.
The Zakat
Can that be
Al-Fitr?
included in it?
Are we talking about Zakat Al-Fitr? What are you talking about?
Zakat Al-Fitr. If he died, can that also be a part of the inheritance that he gives to his family?
I don't understand the question, Shane.
I think he's trying to say.
I know what I don't understand.
Zakat Al-Fitr.
Yeah.
Can that fall under the ruling?
As a person that has to pay Zakat Al-Fitr or receive Zakat Al-Fitr?
No. To pay it.
If he dies,
Right, if he dies.
then how would he have, my question is, how would he have to pay?
From what he owns already.
Sheikh, you're not listening. Zakat Al-Fitr becomes obligatory during the day of the Eid.
Now,
If he dies before the day of the Eid, how does he have to pay Zakat Al-Fitr? It wouldn't even be
I'm just saying, I'm talking about the wealth that he owns when he leaves.
so you're not talking about Zakat Al-Fitr. You're talking about his wealth, period.
Right. Can that also be included?
Included in what?
In the Zakat Al-Fitr, what he leaves?
Sheikh, you're mixing up two things. We'll talk about that later because you're confusing the people. Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Any other questions? All right, we'll stop with that inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله